Our next speaker is a student at the University of Colorado. Don't worry, it's not you. Studying photography, electromagnetics, and the joy of unemployment. When he's not twisting his brain to cram for his next exam or write his latest speech, he's twisting his body in the hopes of transforming both his mental and physical self. With his speech transformation, a journey of the mind and body, welcome Thomas Morris.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Toastmaster, I am a real-life Benjamin Buttons. For those of you who don't know the story of Benjamin Buttons, he was a man who was born old. He had all the elements of a young man. He was crippled, blind, and he was in a lot of pain. As he aged, he actually became younger. He was able to walk, threw away the glasses, and in general, he was youthful. This has been the story of my life for the last 5 years. I've been on a journey of transformation in my mind and my body. At the age of 25, I had some biomechanical problems that had gotten out of control and started to cause a lot of circulation problems. And I effectively had the age of, I don't know, 65 or 70 or something like that. And in my journey, I've actually aged in reverse in a sense. But before I get into that, I want to tell you about how I got into that position. As a young boy, I remember having back pains like a lot of people do. What I didn't know is I was developing mild scoliosis. And this was made worse later on when my father passed away at the age of 13. It created in me a sullen, dark-natured spirit. This was bad for my posture. It was really bad, actually. And these problems were compounded later as a teenager when I did a lot of stupid stunts that teenage boys do. I did a backflip, landed on my head, that kind of stuff. So I had some injuries that compounded the problem. And then moving on to college, I studied a lot in a stressful school. All of this added up to this really bad posture, this biomechanical configuration. And I remember thinking that I needed to solve the problem. So I went to the gym and I decided, I'm going to exercise and get all ripped. And, like a lot of college guys do, I'm going to do the chest exercises and that kind of thing. But what happened was my back problems and my neck problems actually just got worse. One time I couldn't move my head for a month, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It was like walking around like this. It got really bad. So at the age of 25, there was this week where it seems like every night, half of my body, the right side of my body, fell asleep. That numb, tingling sensation that you get when it's just dead asleep. And I woke up in a panic, like, what is this? I can't feel half my body. It was really, really alarming. So at the advice of a friend, I went to a chiropractor and got some x-rays done. And what I found was that not only was my pelvis tilted and torqued, but so was my spine, which led into my neck, but it was discontinuous. That's why I had so many neck problems. This was really alarming. So it was alarming to see the x-ray and kind of horrifying. So it was also motivating, though, to do Pilates or some kind of core strength training. And that's what I set out to do. Now, I don't want to get into all the details of what Pilates is. You can Google that or go to a studio and look it up for yourself. But I would briefly like to talk about the ideas behind it and why it's worked for me the way it has. The idea of Pilates is to connect the mind to the body. And this has been extremely important for me. What happens is you focus on the exercises that you're doing, and this creates strong centering of the body, which leads into flow of motion and precision, and eventually better breathing within your exercise and your body being under the stress of the exercise. This was all very beneficial. And I learned these things as I transformed my body over the last 5 years. Now, I want to briefly talk about 3 things that happened during this transformation. The first thing was really weird. About a month after starting Pilates, I was at work, and I'll never forget the day. I'm standing at work talking to my boss. I'm in the lab. It was a chemical laboratory. And all of a sudden, I got vertigo, and I'm like grabbing for anything and everything that I could come across, which happened to be a nitrogen tank. And my boss is like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm falling over in my head." It was really disorienting and confusing. This happened for about 48 hours, walking down the hallways of my apartment. It was weird. Fortunately, that only happened once, and I believe that that is attributed to my brain and my spine straightening out, and the nervous system saying, you know, what's going on, being really confused. Well, a similar thing happened later on. I grew an inch. Unfortunately, this didn't happen slowly over the 5 years. It really happened more in like 3 weeks. If you can imagine taking a knotted up spine and then all of a sudden being released and opened up and more straight because of the therapies, that's essentially what happened. It was really painful. After about a month after this happened, I regained my strength and I was an inch taller, which was fantastic. But it was really painful going through this process. Finally, and this is the most important thing that has happened, and if you only remember one thing from the speech, remember this. The connection that I made, the mind-body connection, that started this process of my body becoming better, later led into the opposite happening. My body started telling my mind what to do, and this was a really healthy thing. And I say this because that same spirit that I carried with me for a lot of my life from some sadness that I had, now when my mind wants to go back to that dark place, my body says, nope, I don't want to. I want to feel good. It's the weirdest thing, and it really happens like that. It's like my physical being says, no, I don't want to be sad. So there are a lot of methods for connecting the mind to the body, yoga, etc. Pilates isn't magical in that sense, but I highly recommend Pilates.